All right, let's talk taxes. I know, it can feel like you're trying to navigate a maze in the dark. But don't you worry, because today we're going to turn on the lights. We are breaking down the different income tax return, or ITR, forms for the assessment year 2025-26. My goal? To get you feeling confident about which form to pick. So let's just dive right in. Does this look familiar? Yeah. If you've ever just stared at this list of ITR forms and thought, where do I even begin? Trust me, you are in good company. It's probably the most common hurdle people face. But I promise, by the time we're done here, you'll know exactly which one has your name on it. So here's our game plan for today. We'll start with the why, as in why we even have to do this. Then we'll hit the big one, the 4 key forms, so you can find yours. After that, we'll talk about what info you need to gather. And finally, we'll cover the really important stuff, deadlines, changes, and a step-by-step guide to getting it filed. Simple, right? Okay, kicking things off with Section 1, Why We File. Before we get lost in the weeds of which form to use, it really helps to take a quick step back and understand why we're doing it. It makes the whole thing feel a little less like a chore and more like, well, a slightly less annoying chore. So what is an ITR, really? Think of it as your official financial report card to the government for the year. It shows everything you've earned, the deductions you're taking, and the taxes you've paid. Now, if your income is over a certain limit, filing is mandatory. But here's the kicker. Even if you don't owe any tax, filing is often a super smart move. It's how you claim a refund if you've overpaid, and it's also how you can carry forward losses to save on taxes in future years. All right, let's get to the main event. This is the core of what we're talking about today. I want you to think of these ITR forms as different trails on a map. The path you take, well, that depends completely on your financial journey over the last year. Basically, where your money came from. Here's a bird's eye view of the whole landscape. You've got ITR 1 and ITR 4, which are kind of like the easy, paved walking paths. Then you have ITR 2 and ITR 3, which are for the more complex financial hikes. This table is your quick reference guide, but now let's zoom in and really look at the details. Let's start with those simplified routes. First up is ITR 1, also known as Sahaj. This is the go-to for most salaried folks whose total income is under 50 lakhs. The sources are simple: salary, maybe some rent from one house, and other basic sources. The big rule here? Absolutely no capital gains and no business income. Then we have ITR 4, or Sugam. It looks a lot like ITR 1, but it's for people who have business income under what's called the presumptive scheme. All that means is it's a simpler way to calculate your business income based on an estimate instead of tracking every single penny of profit. Now for the more detailed paths. Let's talk ITR 2. Did you sell some stocks or a property last year? That's capital gains. Do you own more than one house? Or have any foreign income or assets? If you answered yes to any of those, ITR 2 is probably for you. But the absolute golden rule for ITR 2 is no income from a business or a profession. The moment you have that, you're pushed over to ITR 3. ITR 3 is the big one. It's for anyone who owns their own business or has a profession that doesn't qualify for that simple ITR 4 scheme. It's the most comprehensive form of the bunch. Okay, let's boil all that down into a super simple memory trick. Think of it like this. See the words capital gains or foreign assets? Boom, your brain should immediately jump to ITR 2 or ITR 3. Got any kind of business income? Then you're looking at either the big one, ITR 3, or the simpler one, ITR 4. And if your situation is pretty straightforward, salary, one house, you're likely in the ITR 1 camp. See, a little easier when you think in terms of these triggers? Great, so hopefully you have a much better idea of which form you're going to be using. Now for the next logical step. What stuff do you actually need to have on hand to fill this thing out? Let's get into it. Think of this as your document gathering checklist. You're going to need details for all your income sources, a list of all the deductions you're claiming, like your ADC investments, and proof of any tax you've already paid, which you can find in things like your Form 16. And of course, don't forget your bank account details. Very important if you're expecting a refund. And now for a piece of news that should make you breathe a huge sigh of relief. ITR forms are what's called attachmentless. What that means is you do not have to scan and upload a giant pile of documents. You just need to have them with you so you can enter the correct information into the form and then verify that it's all true. That's it. No scanning, no uploading. Okay, let's switch gears and talk about some really important stuff for this filing season. Let's cover what's new, and more importantly, the dates that you absolutely cannot afford to miss. Get your calendars out and circle this date in bright red.
The deadline for individuals for this assessment year has been extended. The new date to remember is September 15th, 2025. Seriously, put a reminder in your phone right now. Don't let this one sneak up on you.
So, why am I making such a big deal about that date? Because if you file after the deadline, it's called a belated return, and that comes with some not-so-fun consequences. You'll get hit with late fees for one, but even worse, you might lose the ability to carry forward certain business losses, and that can cost you real money in the long run.
Now, just a quick look into the future. A huge change is coming. The entire income tax law we've been using since 1961 is being replaced starting in April 2026. This is expected to simplify a lot of things. But, and this is the important part, for this year, for assessment year 2025-26, we are sticking with the system we've just gone over. All right, we've covered the why, the which, and the what. Now it's time to put it all together and talk about the how. Here is your simple 5-step guide to actually getting your ITR filed successfully.
Here's your action plan. Step 1. Use what you've learned today to pick the right form. Step 2. Gather up all your documents, your Form 16, your bank statements, everything. Step 3. Log in to the official income tax portal. Step 4 is filling out the form. And finally, the last and maybe most important step, e-verify it. For most people, the absolute easiest way to do this is with an OTP sent to your Aadhaar-linked mobile number.
So there you have it. You are now officially equipped to face your ITR for this year. But this whole process leaves us with one final, big question to think about. With a brand new tax law coming in 2026 that's promising to simplify everything, are we looking at the beginning of the end for this maze of forms as we currently know it? Well, I guess only time will tell. Thanks so much for joining me today.